Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk to you about the Rebellion airdrops and whether or not it's worth the financial investment in order to participate in these mage wagons. It's a significant cost. If you're chasing after the airdrops, why not just buy them? It's a comment that comes from the comment section and we're going to read it in a moment, but that's definitely the topic for today. Is it worth it? Is it overkill? Is it too expensive? Let's talk about it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258. You can call me 12. I review this game. I talk about Splinterlands because it's changed my life and I think it actually can change yours. So if that sounds interesting, I invite you to stick around and stay tuned, like, and subscribe. Okay, so we're going to read a comment here in a second, and it's from a friend of the channel, Oscu. Oscu dropped the comment with respect to a recent video where I was talking about the airdrop and the next steps with Kai. Now, Kai is the second airdrop. Now, is that right? Is that the right way of saying that? With Rebellion, we just had Rage, but do you call the other ones, Grimbard and Smith and whatnot, airdrops? I don't really think you do. Rage was the first airdrop. Mantaroth and Grimbard and Smith were pre-sale bonuses. Okay, the point he wants to make is that the cost in order to generate production points in order to acquire these airdrops is too expensive. Let's read the comment. He says, don't you think that the investment it takes to get those airdrops is a bit too high for the reward you get from the airdrop? I calculated a whopping 2% ROI on my Rage airdrop. So hang on a second. This was dropped 4 days ago, which probably means that you were looking at probably a $15 Rage. That would change today when Rage is selling for 30 bucks or 25 bucks. And we can look at the market data on that in a moment. But even if we agree that it's only 2%, there's more to it than that. And I want to talk about that for sure. But let's see what else you say. 9 times. Okay. So I calculated a whopping 2% on my ROI on my Rage airdrop times 9, meaning there'll be more airdrops, and he's trying to factor in that he'll get some benefit from those other airdrops like Kai and so on. To make the math easy, it's less than 18% ROI over 9 airdrops, maybe 13 to 15% in reality. To me, seems very low. Okay, so there's so many things I want to say in there, Oscu. I mean, the first thing is, this is rapidly changing because the price is rapidly changing. Let's quickly touch on that. Now, right now, the low buy price for a Rage is 28 bucks. But for, let's see, today, it's been selling, 5 copies have sold in and around the $25 range. And let's see, over the last week, we saw 18 bucks. So you were probably looking at an $18 card versus today being 25 to 30. I did see it at 30. I don't know if they moved at 30 though. To be honest, actually, I guess I would say here. Yeah, look at this. At least one sold at 32, 31, 30, 30, 30. So that's a big difference from 15. That's double the price, first of all. Now, I don't want to necessarily argue that those are going to be sustainable because this is 47 cards now. Earlier today, there was only 20 copies on the marketplace. If there's a big dump of copies of this card, it will impact the price point. And so I don't necessarily want to fight you too hard on the ROI you're projecting, but let's take it another step further. I do think there's some room to negotiate what this actually looks like, but let's go one more meaningful step forward. Yes, it's probably wise to say, if it is 2%, and we multiply it by all of the various airdrops, you're going to get something like an 18% ROI or a 13 to 15, because there is a bit of a reduction in terms of the number of airdrops you get with every next airdrop. Like this one was, you needed 200 copies to get a guarantee, 200 chances in order to get a guarantee Rage. And now it's 250 with Kai. And whatever this one will be, it'll be more, and this one will be more and more and more. So he's saying that the points that he's put into these mage wagons will become less and less impactful in terms of generating airdrops. I get that, you're right, but I think you are overlooking one major factor, which is that you're essentially assigning an ROI value to each of the cards that's something similar to Rage. And I don't think that's appropriate. I think as we look at these airdrops, we know that most of them are summoners. We got Rage, Kai, some other monster, and then these are going to be 6 legendary summoners. And they probably are going to be, I mean, I'm pretty confident they're going to change the game. Every time we look at all of the legendary summoners, all of them, I think at every single edition, we go Untamed, Summoner, Legendary, Reg. These cards changed the game. Dice. Now there was no legendary dice summoners, but even even these cards changed the game. Lorna and Mylor, Ouster, lesser extent Blight and Bloom. Go back to Ledge. Chaos Legion. These cards are changing the game. Shield Paw, Quicks, Yasik, Possibilis, to a lesser extent, Immortalis, and to a lesser extent these two. Rift Watchers. Again, no legends. People seem to really enjoy Ilthane. I'm not gonna say it's really, dominating the meta. And then Rebellion, and I think we are gonna see a Kane and the 6 additionals really slot in a meaningful way. So I guess my first counterpoint is, do you agree that those summoners are going to be far more valuable than Rage or Kai? I think the answer should be yes, because they should be meta redefining as the summoners always have been. If I'm right about that, I think their price point individually per BCX should be greater. And if I'm right about that, the ROI changes on your calculation. Now, even if it is something like, even if it's 25% ROI, is that unacceptable? Is it too low to justify the process? One of the commenters here, SS, says, have to factor in the deck improvement and the wins from the OP cards that I suppose. And this is a main point I want to maybe, I don't know about finish with, but it'll be one of my last points that I'm going to raise here. I really believe that, I guess the question is like, one, do you want the cards in the first place? And I've said this in a lot of ways on a lot of different videos. I would never recommend somebody come in and buy Rage or Kai or any given summoner unless you already wanted that summoner or a summoner. And then the question becomes, okay, look, you have money and you're planning to invest it into cards. And then the question is, you're looking at which. And so if you are already on board with wanting Rebellion and maybe you're going to buy them, then the question isn't so much should I, yes or no, it's now or later. And that is the question that I'm pushing right now, because, and I think I spoke to this in the video a little, it really boils down to, do you think that these are going to be meaningful or not? Do you think that these are going to begin to offset that, let's say, that cost to get your Mage Wagons up and running in the first place, or not? Certainly Rebellion cards are expensive right now. Do you think they're going to become more cheap or more expensive? I'm beginning to believe, particularly because of what's happening with Bitcoin and the altcoin market, that these are not going to be cheap. I'm beginning to think that this is happening. Like the SPS is pumping a little today. Other major coins are as well. I think something might imminently happen. That's not advice. I'm just telling you, I'm speculating that that's where my head goes. And that's making me feel like Rebellion cards are just going to sell and not be, like they're going to be bought up, is what I'm saying. And that's going to mean that the price points are not affordable. Because if all of my thinking for years and years now is actually coming to fruition right now, we're talking not just about SPS pumping, but we're talking about new player adoption, and with it card price climbing. And all that means that, first of all, these Rebellion prices might be the cheapest that you'll see. I don't know that to be true. I'm just saying they might be. Secondly, I want the cards, so why not buy them now, irrespective of what happens with respect to conflicts? The conflicts is an icing on the cake. And point number 3, it's not really accurate to look at these cards and say, like, these monsters are cool, but they're not really game changing. Because the bread and butter, the joy and the excitement, the shining jewel of these Rebellion airdrops is going to be the summoners. And you know that from historic evidence. And so if you see my approach to those, I think 3 responses, I think you begin to understand why I would be willing to, and why I have already begun putting thousands of dollars into Rebellion. Not as much as I have in previous, because I don't have the same sort of liquid cash, but I'll show you right now. My Rebellion deck is $3,000. I think I put 1,500. I forget how much I put in there. I have it written down somewhere, but it was between 15 and 2,000, 1,500 and 2,000. So I'm up a significant amount in just the intervening weeks, like 2 months, month and a half. And I'm starting to feel, based on what I'm seeing in the marketplace, that there's reason to believe the prices could keep going higher. I could be wrong about that. I'm not trying to give advice. I'm just telling you, this is why I like the conflicts. Not to mention, it's one thing to earn it quietly in the background, and it's another thing to save up and plan and buy it later. And I don't know if I have the willpower to just sit to accumulate hundreds of dollars in DEC and wait for these cards to come to market. And even Kai, it's going to come to market in 21 days. I don't have the willpower to accumulate the DEC and make the moves to just sit and wait patiently for Kai to come. Maybe some of you do. And if you do, you might benefit in bigger ways than I will, because your patience might actually allow you to play the market in a better way than like Oscu was alluding to. Because it isn't the only, conflicts are not the only path to owning these things. You can play the marketplace. You can wait patiently. Maybe buy them. It seems like buy them cheaply when they first launch. That's what happened with Rage. That happened with Mantaroth. That happened with Grimbarden Smith. Probably it's going to happen with Kai, I guess. I don't know. But for me, I'd rather earn them quietly, all while accumulating the deck I know I ultimately want to have, so that I can play with them now, have fun with them now, and win with them now. Thanks, Oscu, for the comment. I appreciate that. Transfer. Luin E. Kisa for sending a little something. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the video idea. And guys, have an amazing day. God bless.